What will Tesla stock look like in 2030 if we include everything? The Robotaxi, the FSD licensing, the FSD Global, the Tesla bot, insurance, energy, everything, all of it by 2030. It's going to be a very interesting year. So in this video, I put that all together and it's going to be an insane video. So I hope you guys are ready because this video is going to be very spicy. So without further ado, let's get down to it. Smash that like button if you haven't. And subscribe if you haven't already, man. Come on. Let's go. Now, if you guys been watching the channel for some time, you guys already know I'm all in into Tesla stock. Like 98% of my entire stock portfolio is in Tesla since 2020, and I'm still dollar cost averaging. If you guys are not following me on Twitter, then I don't know what you guys are doing because I do post a lot of Tesla stuff there. So make sure you guys follow me on Twitter for that. But I'm curious to know how Tesla will look like by 2030. I'm talking about the stock price. We all know that 2030 and beyond, Tesla's gonna be probably the world's most valued company. I'm pretty convinced of that, but let's see what the stock price would be. You're curious, I'm curious, everyone's curious. So let's see what this prediction is. And again, guys, it's a prediction. It's not financial advice. Take all this with a grain of salt, not facts. Only my opinion and my opinion alone. This may not happen. All right, so let's get down to it. Here is the Tesla stock price prediction chart all the way to 2030, including everything. You guys can see the vehicle deliveries, the average selling price, the automotive credits, services, leasing, it keeps going on and on, but I want you guys to pay attention to this. I add a Tesla bot here and Robotaxi here. And if you guys know, I don't really believe in the Tesla bot at the moment. I'm not a bear, guys. I'm not a bear. Look, I bought the dip. I bought the dip. So I am not a Tesla bear. I'm all in into Tesla stock, but the bot is so far in the future and it's hard to predict. At this point, it's speculating. And so is Robotaxi as well. I know ARK is saying like 300 million, 400 million, I don't know, some big number. And Elon is agreeing with her, saying it's the most realistic. It's just, I don't know how she did it. I'm just going to take a very conservative approach here in this chart, in this prediction video. And yes, all this will be available on Patreon very soon. I'm hoping by end of next week to have Patreon, to have all this, the whole Tesla master chart on there as well. So I'm very excited for that because a lot of value is coming your way. But let's go bit by bit here. We got the vehicle deliveries here. End of this year, I am predicting more of a 1.9 million vehicle deliveries, but I put it here 1.85 just to be conservative. The year after that, in 2024, a 35% increase to 2.5 million, and pretty much a 35% year-over-year growth up until 2029, which I put 30% here growth, which will be over 14 million vehicles being delivered. Now, I know most of you guys are like,
no, man, it's gonna be 20 million by 2030.
Look, I'm not saying they're not gonna do it. I'm saying they're not gonna do it by 2030. 2033, 2032 sounds more like it. Now, most likely by 2030, they'll be close or maybe at 20 million production. But in terms of deliveries, 20 million is, I don't know how, they're gonna be building 2 more factories right now, not just one. 14 million vehicle deliveries by 2030. Average vehicle selling price for 2023, I lifted at 44,000. 2024 to 47,000 because of the Cybertruck. I do expect the Cybertruck, the first ones to be rolled out, to be as high as 70, 80,000 because, it's still being produced. It's still being, it's in the beginning stages. And obviously, Tesla's going to sell the ones that have the most options on it because it's more money. So I do expect 2024 to be around the 47, maybe 46,000 average selling price. 2025, 46,000. I do anticipate them to reveal the compact car, which will be worth 20,000, 25,000, somewhere around there. So that's going to slightly bring the price down. And obviously, the cost of each vehicle that Tesla makes goes down, so they can bring the price down if they wanted to, not if they have to. In 2026, 44,000, 42,000, 40,000, 38,000, and 36,000 because I do expect the compact car to bring the whole average down because that's going to be the most selling vehicle out of all of them because it's the most affordable. When it comes to credits, I put here over 1.6 billion to end in 2023. But looking at the recent earnings report, they did like not even 300 million, which is absolutely crazy. And in 2024, 1.5, 1.35, 1.2, 1 billion, 750 million, 500, and 250 million. I'm expecting by 2028, 2029 to be 0 actually. Now services, when Tesla sells more cars, there's going to be more services needed. I mean, this is not rocket science, just common sense. So I have here all the way till 2030 to $55 billion, almost reaching $56 billion in revenue and 25% gross profit of $14 billion. So that's good stuff. Leasing, I did say in 2024 they're going to go lower because interest rates are high, but as soon as they cut interest rates, let's say by 2025, I see it rocketing up like 20%. In 2025, it's 10% from 2024, then 20%, then 25%, and 30%, and so on and so forth, up until 2030 with a revenue of $7.5 billion and a profit of $3 billion. So not bad. We get the total vehicle revenue here. Obviously, the average selling price multiplied by the total vehicles being delivered. I mean, just look at 2030, $500 billion in revenue, which is absolutely insane. For vehicle gross profits on the average for 2023, I put 18%. Now this could go lower because we are still seeing some price cuts here and there, and the economy is just, it's weird, it's limping. We know that China is in a deflationary time. Maybe the US is next, we don't know, but 2023 and a little bit of 2024 is going to be a little shaky. So that's why for 2023 I put 18%, 2024 18.8%, and then from 2025 and onwards up until 2030 of 28% vehicle gross margins. I do believe this is going to happen. And obviously we get the vehicle profits here up until 2030 is over $141 billion just from vehicle. That is absolutely insane. Now here we go. Insurance is something that I don't really cover because Tesla doesn't put it in their financial statements. But however though, in Q4 of 2022 Zach did say that they're on a run rate for insurance in terms of revenue, $300 million, and this will exponentially grow as they enter new markets and new states and countries eventually. So here I put 2024 300 million because it's an annual run rate. This should be at 2023, but keeping it conservative, I put it at 2024. And he did say it's on an 80% quarterly growth, but I just made it 180% on an annual growth. And here are the numbers. All the way to 2030, over $10 billion in revenue. And when it comes down to the profits for 2024, I left it at 5%, same thing in 2025, and then 7, 8, 9, 10% as we go up to 2030. Now insurance, usually the profit margin is between 2 to 5%, but because Tesla is offering it within their own services, I do expect their profits to be just a little bit more than the average industry. Now we're getting to the juicy part, the full self-driving global revenue. This is where Tesla, with a snap of a finger or one over-the-air update, with all the Teslas around the world that are allowed to use FSD beta or FSD, can now opt in for it. And this will generate Tesla billions and billions of revenue and profits every single quarter and year. And this is big business. As soon as this happens, we can see a big jump in Tesla's valuation. And I'm expecting here starting in 2025. If you guys want to know how I got these numbers, you can check the video here. But note that if you could check this out, this number and that number is a little bit different because we are going at a 1.8 million vehicle deliveries by 2023 rather than 1.8 million. Again, I'll have all this on Patreon so you guys can play around with. But for now, this is what I put the numbers. From 2025, 8 billion in revenue and profits of about 40% over $3.2 billion every single year from 2025 all the way to 2030, keeps growing exponentially. And by 2030, we have almost $44 billion in revenue and in profits, almost $29 billion. I mean, that's just insane just from the global revenue. But now let's talk about the licensing, because we know that once Tesla solves it and it's good to go, they are open to licensing. And once they do this, this is a massive business. This is crazy business. This could be even a bigger business than the vehicles, but I'm keeping things conservative here. And I'm predicting that they're going to do licensing starting in 2027. Again, you guys can check out how I got this number over here, but note it's been adjusted because of how many vehicle deliveries have been delivered. But nonetheless, in 2027, I got first year being licensed, $12.5 billion in revenue, 80% margin because it's just a software as a service. So really it's pretty much all profit, but I'm saying 80% and we get $10 billion in 2028, 2029, 2030, over $90 billion in revenue and over $72 billion in profits, which is absolutely insane. Again, when it comes to licensing, it's very unclear at the moment of how Tesla wants to do it. It could be actually 20%, not 80%. Let's see how it will go, but I'm pretty optimistic that there's a software. It's pretty much all profit. Now, talking about a lot of profit, what's bigger than this is the flippin' Robotaxi. The Robotaxi, once that comes into play, it's going to be bigger than the licensing and the FSD global revenue, maybe more than both of them combined. It's just absolutely insane how much money Robotaxi can make, because everyone who owns a Tesla can now do what Uber does or Lyft does without being in there, and they just make money, which is absolutely insane. So what I said was that the first Robotaxi is going to come out in 2025. Now the question is, how much could a Tesla owner profit from a Robotaxi if they enable it on their vehicle? Well, according to Elon Musk, he says, well, I mean, it's Elon's guess, right? Upwards of $30,000 per Robotaxi, which is absolutely insane. I mean, every year you make 30 grand, and only because you have a Tesla. It's just absolutely insane. It's just the idea of it is insane. So what I said was here is that for 2025, Tesla's gonna pick 100,000 Tesla owners to test out Robotaxi. And so if they make 30,000 a year, if we do the math, 100,000 multiplied by 30,000, that's about $3 billion in revenue alone in 2025, which is absolutely a sheesh moment right there. But no, guys, again, this is all speculation. ARK has we'll get to ARK in just a second. Just putting in my numbers here, just speculating like a mad dog. Tesla upset from 100,000 to 250,000, and that comes down to $7.5 billion. In 2027, increasing another 500,000 vehicles, $22.5 billion in revenue. 2028, 1.5 million Robotaxis, $45 billion. 2029, 3 million, which will be $90 billion in revenue. And in 2030, 6 million vehicles, which would be $180 billion in revenue. Sheesh moment right there. But when it comes down to the profits, I just said 10%. I think Tesla will take 10% of that. Maybe it could be more. I know it's around 20-30%, but let's just say 10% for now. These are the numbers that we get from 2025 all the way to 2030. $18 billion in just profits. This could be easily double or triple if they decide to do 20% or 30%. So that's absolutely insane. The revenue does beat the FSD Global and licensing combined together, but the profit, not so much. Again, I'm skeptical with this Robotaxi unless it actually happens. If it does happen, then this is, I mean, ARK is saying that if this happens by 2027, stock price could be as high as 2,000 in 2027. Literally in 4 years from now. And if that happens, then that's flipping amazing. I mean, I can retire a whole lot earlier than I would think of. But nonetheless, this is what I think Robotaxi could happen. Again, speculation, not facts, just guessing. We got a total energy here growing rapidly, extremely fast. Revenue over 170 billion and profits almost 43 billion. Do not, and I'm stressing this, do not sleep on Tesla energy. It's pretty much the next big thing. Actually going to be bigger than the FSD later on down the line. It's going to be insane because energy is pretty much limitless because we all use energy. FSD does have some sort of a limit, but energy, everybody needs to use energy. Every single people, whether they like it or not, they need to use energy. So that's big. Now moving on to the Tesla bot. Now Tesla bot is the most speculative out of all speculative. I'm not even going to touch the Tesla bot unless there's some sort of a figure. For Robotaxi, we do have a little bit of a figure thanks to ARK, but for the bot, we have no idea. We just have to go based on speculation, and we have no idea if it's actually going to work or not. Nonetheless, if we want to include everything, even the bot, here it is. Now, I'm not expecting the Tesla bot to be anywhere near in the next 2-3 years. I'm guessing starting from 2028, and I'm guessing very limited and just trying it out to a select customers, like how the semi-truck was for Pepsi, something like that. I'm guessing by 2028, Tesla's gonna make 1,000 Tesla bots at a price of $10,000 each to give to either SpaceX or other companies that are willing to try it, and that will come down to $10 million in revenue. Profit being 10%, 1 million. Now I know the profits could be a whole lot more, but I'm just keeping it conservative. I have no idea. I mean, because it's just the software, again, a robot could be as high as 50-60%, but again, giving it a conservative rate of 10% just to be safe, more than safe. In 2029, I'm predicting it's gonna be 10,000 bots, which would be 100 million. Again, 10% profit is 10 million. And in 2030, they double that to 20,000, making it 200 million, and obviously a profit of 20 million. Now, I know this looks extremely bearish if you guys believe heavily the bot, but again, I don't know. I need to see someone with qualifications that make some sort of a number like how ARK is, so I can get a better idea. That's why for Robotaxi, it looks crazy because I'm going based on ARK, and again, this Robotaxi number is like 1/4 of what they're saying. So again, take all this with a grain of salt. Now, when it comes to the total revenue, we can see the exponential growth year after year. I mean, heck, we're going to reach over $1 trillion in terms of revenue by 2030 if we include all this, which is absolutely insane. Income from operations is going to be over $300 billion by 2030. Operating margin by 2030 is going to be 28.8%. I mean, we might see 10.8% end of this year in 2023. In 2024, I am expecting to be back in the 12%, right? I mean, this is putting 12.9%. We could be lower than that because of Cybertruck ramping and we have, maybe price cuts, but I do expect the operating margin to improve drastically as we go forward, as interest rates come down every single year. Net income gap keeps increasing. I mean, look at that, from just in 2030, over almost $306 billion. Absolutely insane. Stock-based compensation, I am increasing at 5% year over year. Could be more, but I'm not too sure here. Just 5% year over year. Net income gap, which is the most important part here, over 308 billion by 2030. Absolutely insane. Another thing you guys may have noticed is that shares outstanding is being diluted year over year. Now, most likely if they're making this much money, let's say even by 2025, 2026, 33 billion, 53 billion, every single year, I do expect a buyback. I mean, there has to be a buyback, but in this situation, no buyback. Just gonna keep diluting, just to stay conservative. EPS non-GAAP on an annual basis, as you guys can see for 2023, it is slightly less than 2022. Now, we may actually be par. If I'm optimistic, I think we could actually be at 360, not 340, not 341, but I'm being conservative. But look at this, guys. Just look at 2030, 87.5 EPS. Absolutely insane. This is insane. That's crazy. 2024, I am expecting $5.73. 2025, almost doubling. I mean, 2025 is going to be a fantastic year if we don't have any black swans. So that's going to be absolutely insane. Now, the question is, are you guys ready to see what the stock price is going to be? Because this is what we're all here for, man. I just broke down everything here for you so you guys understand how I got these numbers. But the stock price, man, this is where we all are waiting for. If you guys are ready, man, then why isn't that like button smashed? Come on, man, smash that like button. Let's go. Starting with 2022. Now, 2022 was a wild year. The stock was like at mid 300s and then it went down to the 100s. So averagely, you could say it was around the 181 on the average. But in 2023, right now, the PE is around 65, 66. So if we give it the same PE, it's about $225 at the end of this year when we close off 2023. So if they close off this year, and if they also have a 66 PE, the stock price could be $225 per share. Could be as high as 70, really, 239. A lot of people are saying as high as 300 because of Cybertruck. That's a PE of like 88. Can we see a PE of 88 end of this year? I don't know. Comment down below. Do you think 88 by December or January of 2024 is going to happen? I think personally 75 PE, 80 PE around there makes sense, which again, it's hovering around my price target for 2023 of 260. Not bragging, I'm just saying. So I'm going to be a little cheeky here and say 76 PE of a stock price of $259 per share. Haha, see what I did there? However, though, in 2024, if they went from, look at the EPS, from $3.41 to $5.73, in other words, in terms of revenue from 100 billion to almost 150 billion, and net income non-GAAP from 11.8 billion to almost 20 billion, that's extremely bullish. I'm going to say a PE of 65, and that'll give us a stock price of $372 per share and a market cap over $1.2 trillion. That's absolutely insane. In 2025, I'm going to reduce it to a 60 PE, and that will give us a stock price of $600 per share and a market cap almost reaching $2 trillion. That is crazy. That is absolutely insane. I mean, 2 trillion by 2025. But again, they would need to have over $33 billion, over almost $35 billion in non-GAAP net income to do so, or at $10 EPS. If they can do that, then, and they give it a 60 PE, that's absolutely crazy. And again, that's the year that Robotaxi and FSD Global has started. So the PE could actually be a whole lot more than 60. Just saying. But keeping conservative, let's keep 60 PE and let's move on. In 2026, I'm going to give it a PE of 55, and that will give us a stock price of $860 per share and a market cap over $2.8 trillion. I mean, they would need to have a non-GAAP net income at that time of $55 billion. That's just insane. But 2027 is even more insane because I'm going to give it a PE of 50 because we have to keep going lower and lower in order to make sense of it. And that would give us a stock price of $13.51 per share and a market cap over $4.4 trillion. Skipping $3 trillion. Why? because that's where FSD licensing came in. Now, if FSD licensing does come in, we can probably see a PE a whole lot higher than 50, which is absolutely insane. I mean, that hurts my brain even thinking about it. So let's keep moving on to 2028, giving it a 45 PE, and that would give us a stock price of almost $1,800 per share and a market cap over $5.8 trillion. In 2029, let's give it a PE of 40. That would give us a stock price of over $2,400 per share and a market cap over $7.8 trillion. And that's including the Tesla bot. The Tesla bot has entered since 2028. So again, Tesla bot comes in, a PE could be as high as 50 or 60 at this time, because that's a whole new S-curve. It's a whole new opportunity. And last but not least, in 2030, giving a PE of 35, that will give us a stock price of over $3,000 per share or a market cap reaching 10 trillion. That's just insane. 10 trillion market cap by 2030, literally more than a 10x right now. Sheesh. That's insane. Is that realistic? It could be if Robotaxi comes into play. The bot doesn't really have to come into play, but if Robotaxi comes into play, then we can, I do believe 10 trillion does happen. And licensing, of course. Absolutely insane. Now, here's the more insane part. Since Tesla bot is coming in, that's a whole new S-curve. That's a whole new opportunity. A 35 PE does not make sense knowing how big Tesla bot can get. This can go as high as 45 PE, and that is a stock price of almost 4,000 and a market cap over almost 13 trillion. Let's say 50 so we can just round that up. 14 trillion. 4,300, bro. That, again, I can't comprehend that. I'm actually going to go back to a 35p and I'm going to remove the licensing and the Robotaxi for 2030, as well as a Tesla bot. I'm not going to remove the FSD global revenue because I know that's going to happen. I mean, it's just based on the country. The country allows it and it's already safer. Why wouldn't they allow it? So I'm going to keep the FSD global revenue. I do heavily believe that. So with a 35 PE, you're still getting $2,100 per share and a 7 trillion market cap. Heck, let's bring the PE down to a 30. 6 trillion, 1857 bucks per share. Heck, 25 PE just to keep it even more bearish, 1547, a 5 trillion. So more than a 5x in the worst case in this, in my opinion, in this prediction. That is the sheesh moment right there. Sheesh. And there you guys have it. In the best case scenario here, 4 to 5,000 bucks per share by 2030, which is about a 14 to 15 trillion market cap. I know Alexandria Mers, or Tesla Boomer Mama, shout out to her by the way, she's saying 40x from now, which would be 10,000 per share by 2030, which is absolutely insane. But I'm saying at the best case, 5,000 bucks per share by 2030, and in the worst case, 1,500 bucks around the 4-5 trillion mark. Again, this all comes down to Robotaxi. If Robotaxi can come and full self-driving is solved and licensing happens and the bot slowly comes, then 15 trillion sounds crazy. But because of the value it's giving to the marketplace and to companies and others, it's not that crazy. So sheesh, that's the prediction here. Comment down below, what is your 2030 price target for Tesla? Tesla for sure is going to become the world's most valued company. Hands down, when full self-driving is solved, it's finished. That's the most value you can give to everyone at the moment. The Tesla bot will be next level, and the Robotaxi is just the next level. So really, those things, it's just hard to predict, but the full self-driving, because it's getting better and better every day and you can see what's happening, and we do have some numbers, it's easier to predict. And that's why I'm saying 1,500 bucks. I know my bearish case for 2030 is around 1,400 bucks per share, but I think 1,500 bucks does make sense by 2030. Now obviously we'll have 1 or 2 stock splits this decade for sure. Obviously it's not going to show like 1,500, it's probably going to show 200-300 after like a 3 or 4 for 1 stock split by 2030. But nonetheless, at the moment, 1,500 bucks per share by 2030 I think is reasonable. 4,000 or 5,000 if everything goes right, sheesh moment right there. But nonetheless, if you hold over 2030 and you go to 2035 and 2040, the wealthier you will get, because Tesla's just gonna be, it's gonna be a cash machine, man. I mean, it already kind of is, but looking that far, it's just gonna be a massive bank. That's all I gotta say. And if you guys are all into Tesla stock like I am, or are thinking of retiring off Tesla stock, well then check this video here, how many shares you would need right now to retire by 2030. It's just a prediction and speculation, so check it out, you won't be disappointed. Get your About the Dip merch, man, whether it's a cup or a t-shirt, it's awesome. And subscribe for more, and I shall see you guys in the next video. See ya.